But first of all, just do me a favor, introduce yourself.
Yeah. Oh, right now. Yeah, so how you guys doing? My name is Willard, go by Will, and I am a graphic designer in New York City. I work for right now for an auto insurance company called Loop Insurance, which is under John Henry. He is a huge entrepreneur from Harlem, and he's into like venture capital, which I also had a background working as a designer for a venture capital firm as well. And now this is my job at the moment, working for this startup company after graduating. So it's something that I'm super grateful for. And I'm originally from Haiti, but raised in Brooklyn, New York.
Brooklyn.
Yeah.
So I know for a fact, you were one of my students at LaGuardia. Um, what made you study new media in general? Were you always attracted to this? What brought you to the whole field of new media?
Honestly, so I have Haitian parents, and they wasn't going to let me drop out of school, because when I first got to LaGuardia, it was because first I wasn't I wasn't the best student in high school coming out of high school, and community college was like the best choice, and then end up choosing physical therapy as a major coming in, and I hated it. I took human anatomy, I took psychology. I was like, yo, this is not for me. And then I talked to a advisor, and then she suggested that I take one of these like tests to see like which major is right for you. And I did that, and then new media like was one of them, and then that's when I ended up changing my major to that and this to see. And it kind of related to what I wanted to do, because of I love like creating content stuff with social media. So I figured this would be a good major, but I at that time I didn't even know what I wanted to do with it. It was just because I wanted to get out of being a physical therapist.
How did I not know that? I never knew that you initially studied physical therapy.
Yeah.
That's a big jump from physical therapy to new media.
Yeah.
And I also definitely recognize and understand the whole thing about having, West Indian or immigrant parents who, wasn't going to let you like drop out of school.
Yeah. Yeah, that was no option. So
Yeah. So you went through LaGuardia. What was your focus in LaGuardia? What were the majors that you not the majors, what were the courses that you particularly enjoyed? Did you do a lot of video production? I kind of know some of this, but I'm learning new stuff about you. So tell me exactly what you kind of like studying at LaGuardia.
yeah, definitely. It was I remember my last semester we took it was a film class that I enjoyed. We created short films. Also, I believe you had a class where it was related to it was a portfolio class, if I'm not mistaken, creating your own portfolio. That class I really enjoyed because I didn't really know much about it. And also the video game class with Jeremy, I think that's his name.
Yeah, Jeremy Cooley.
Yeah, yeah, that was a dope class. I made my first video game in that class, even though it was a lot of work. It was like a lot. But yeah, that was pretty much what I enjoyed during at LaGuardia. But overall, it was just the experience, because like I said, I just was trying to get out of physical therapy, because I was like, because in my mind, I was like, if I stayed with physical therapy, I was not going to graduate. I was going to take forever to finish, because I was like, yo, I hate this. So I'm glad I transitioned to new media.
So what made you decide to, because correct me if I'm wrong, you decided to transfer.
Hmm. Yeah.
What made you decide to transfer as opposed to, finding work immediately? What was your motivation behind transferring, and where did you transfer to?
Yeah, I transferred to City College, and it was my last semester at LaGuardia. And for some reason, something in me was like, I still have a little bit more left in school. So I decided to take on an opportunity and transfer just because I've heard so many things about City College being good for graphic design and designers. And I literally came to City College just to get into like their design program, which I got rejected, but it's another story. And so yeah, basically it was just I wanted more for myself. I wasn't satisfied with having an associate's degree. And in the back of my mind, it was always like the job that you want, at least they would require maybe having a bachelor's degree in your field. So that's why. But I kind of going into City College, I kind of like found graphic design by mistake a little bit, but just because of the class I took. But yeah, that was the reason why.
So what was your major at City College then?
It was digital design. That was my major, which I didn't really know much about it, which came to graphic design. I took a class with a professor of mine, I forgot her name, and she was just showing us all these great designers in the past who became really successful. And I was like, yeah, this is what I want to do. Even though she gave me a C+, which was like my first time taking an actual like design class with typography and stuff like that. And I was like, you know what? After that C+, I was like, I'm gonna prove her wrong. I'm gonna like, I was just like, you're really good at it, and yeah, that was the motivation.
So did you looking back? Are you happy that you transferred to CCNY, to City College? How was the program over there? Because that's another question that a lot of students that I have who take the portfolio class. Like, what schools should they transfer to? What schools should they be looking at?
Yeah, definitely SVA is a great school, which I found out late about it because I wasn't too familiar with schools that was more focused on art. City College was cool. The one thing about it, if you join the program, which is the EDM program, is you will end up staying, I believe, like an extra semester, or they just take extra way more classes than the regular students who are in like the digital design program. And I'm kind of glad I didn't get in because I wasn't trying to stay in college for too long. I was just trying to get my degree and then hopefully get into my career as a designer. And that was basically my focus.
So you graduated from the EDM program because you have to apply to that. That's kind of competitive, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I applied for it, but I didn't get in. So I was just a regular digital design major. I wasn't like the EDM.
Okay. But you still got your degree.
Mm-hmm.
You still got your, was your portfolio helpful in any way in getting you work and getting you transferred? How was that whole process of moving from LaGuardia over to City?
Yeah, my portfolio was trash. Now that I look at it now, I didn't really have much because one, the things that the EDM program required, I didn't really have knowledge about when it came to design. So I was just creating what I think looked good, kind of, and then I just submitted it. That's one of the reasons why I didn't get in. But looking at it now, with the knowledge that I have with design, if I applied for it, as someone who's really good at design, I'm definitely confident that I would have got in the program. But during that time, I was still trying to figure things out.
So what will you say that you were missing, and that students who are coming out of LaGuardia would need to do in order to be more competitive going into that program?
Definitely be really good when it comes to using typography. When it comes to using this, they just want to see how good you use type because one of the projects that we had to create was a poster design, and they want to see how you display typography within the poster. There was one where you had to do a creative self-portrait design using Photoshop or Illustrator, just to see how creative, or how you use those elements. And Yeah, that was basically that. And you also have to write a short essay, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, that was pretty much it. Yeah, it wasn't too much, but during that time I didn't really know much about it, and I just applied thinking, I could get in, anybody could get in, but it's very competitive.
Okay. So you didn't get in, but you didn't let that stop you.
Hmm.
So when you graduated with your degree in digital design, what was your next step in terms of, did you feel that you were prepared to basically go out into the workforce? You did secure a job, because I'm talking to you now while you're at your job. So what steps do you think that you made correct, and what would you do differently looking back?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the steps I think I made correct was uh I was willing to take the time to get better at design, which was the last year, like early January. I remember I was watching this video on YouTube. I don't know if you heard of the YouTube channel. It's called Future. It's a design channel that helps creatives and graphic designers. And they had a specific graphic designer named Roy Crankston, and he's a dope typographer, designer. And they asked him, it was like, what made you want to, how did you get better? And he's like, I was just designing poster every day. And I was like, oh, okay. So I started designing the poster every day. And then I've been grateful as well to have mentors as well, to like, for designers and creative, like LinkedIn, that's still like, that's where it's at. One of my mentors was like, he told me basically, research the companies that you will want to work for as a designer, and look up the designers who work for those companies on LinkedIn, and then look at their like portfolio and see like what made them want to see how they got that job because of their portfolio. So basically during that time, like I went to work for companies like BT, Complex, maybe NBA, MTV, um, like in the entertainment realm. And I looked at these like LinkedIn profiles of these designers that work for these companies, and that kind of helped shape how I design my portfolio to the companies that I will want to work for in the future.
Do you have a portfolio now? That
Yeah,
you,
absolutely.
I kind of figured you did, but would you mind sharing that with, like, if I shared it with my students in terms of looking at your portfolio, to get an idea of what they need to get towards
Mhm.
if they're looking to get to a position like yours?
Yeah, absolutely. Wait, do I share it now or do I?
Yeah, I mean, if you want, but don't
Oh,
stress about it. I mean, if
okay.
you want, you can just give me a link to it.
Hmm.
I can put the link to, what is it, Will Domingue or something like
Yeah, .com. That's it.
that? Okay. So you secured your domain name, you got
Yeah,
your site.
surprisingly, yeah.
Got you. All right.
But yeah, I'll say, and the other question you mentioned as well was one thing, that yeah, what was the other question? Because I
What would
answered
you
the
do
first.
differently? I think
Oh yeah, well yeah, what I'll do differently is, I think what I would have done differently is having the knowledge of design before even trying to enter a school that's very competitive when it came to graphic design. And also, I think a lot of the reasons why designers or some creatives sometimes don't really find work is because they don't really have a focus, on a specific focus on what they want to be, because it's very diverse, especially with design. And my focus was branding and identity, and that's what I want to focus on. And I want to get jobs basically off like branding and identity, basically working with brands and designing logos, typography, color palettes, and etc. So I think that's one thing I wish I did earlier on, is figuring out what I want to do specifically in the design world, because it's so diverse. So
you mentioned mentors being important. How did you find your mentors? Like that's something that even when I was an undergraduate, I kind of struggled with finding people to kind of point you in the right direction. How did you find yours?
Yeah, I've been grateful to have. So one of my first mentors was some dude who I used to play basketball with on the basketball court, and he was always like, he knew me since high school, and he used to always give me some advice and stuff like that. And another mentor who I met, I was part of some agency. I don't know if you heard of it. It's called Scope of Work.
Yeah,
And
that's the one that actually that's the one Jeremy or them, I believe, or Seema Shaw brought into LaGuardia to
yeah,
basically talk to people.
yeah. Basically, it was an agency that helped college students and creators like myself to connect with professionals and creators in the industry. And through that, I was able to take advantage of it and keep in contact with some like big people and just reaching out. And that mentorship kind of developed because if I was working on a project, I would reach out to a designer who's in the industry, and I was like, what do you think about this project? I would love your advice about it. And that kind of developed into like a relationship, just staying in contact and just asking advice about how I could improve this design.
So what would you recommend to LaGuardia students to improve their overall chances of securing work like you did, whether it be through transfer to another school, whether it be getting their first entry-level job? What advice, knowing everything that you know, would you give to one of those younger people coming up through the pipeline?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first advice would be staying in contact with. So I'll give you a backstory. There's an internship that I wanted to be a part of, and I was supposed to be a part of it last year, which I got rejected. It was between me and another designer. And I was like, you know what, this is not gonna stop me. And one of the things that I did was, even though I got rejected, I was reaching out to the creative director a bunch of times and just asking him opinions on the projects that I was working on personally. And that kind of led to him reaching out to me if I was interested in an internship to work. It was a venture capital internship where they work with like big brands and stuff like that. And I've been grateful for that opportunity. But also, second advice will also be to, one of the things I did was my portfolio was on social media, was on Instagram. So a lot of the things I was designing creatively was on Instagram. And people realize and they notice. And that's literally how I got the job that I have now. It's because someone saw my work, like the CEO of the company saw my work on Instagram. And it's like he hit me up. Like I'm like, yo, I love your work. And because of that, me showcasing my portfolio on Instagram and social media, now I'm working for the company. So yeah, that's one thing.
Wow. Your Instagram is fire. I got to tell you that. I've seen some of your designs. So one of the last questions I have is, you mentioned twice that you had shot for something and you didn't make it. You were kind of shot down with the EDM. You were shot down with this other. How much of it actually is two more questions, but how much does having that kind of determination not to give up, was that something that you feel that was important? And do you see that with designers who are successful in the field?
Yeah, definitely coming in. I'm just one person that don't give up, especially if I get rejected. Coming in, especially with design, in design, like this is how I look at it. I want to be the best at what I do, especially with graphic design. And I think that's one of the reasons why I have the passion and the drive. Is just not giving up. It's like, even though you reject me, I'm just gonna prove you wrong. I'm gonna just work on better projects. I'm gonna improve myself, and I'm gonna just let the time, I'm just gonna work hard for it, basically. And I think that's one of the reasons why I'm at the opportunity that I have now, is one, because I believe in myself so much that like I'm one of the top best designers, but also just willing to put in the work, because it's hard. I came in thinking design is easy, especially with working with brands. It's not. And I put in the work. I design like a poster every day. I even design like 30 different logos every day. Just putting in that work, and then once you put it on social media, people start to recognize, people start to notice, and that's how it came to be.
How is it for you as a young man of color? And correct me if I'm wrong, I guess the term is bicultural. You're Black and Latino.
Mm-hmm.
So how is it specifically for you as a young man of color working in these design fields? Do you see a lot of people like you and me in these environments? And if not, how do you reconcile with that? Is that something that bothers you? Is that something that motivates you? How is it being a young man of color in the design field?
Yeah, it's definitely weird a little bit, just because when I first got my first internship working for this venture capital, I was literally the only Black person. It was just me and some other, and the creative director which was Black, and the rest was just white people, basically. And that's something I had to get used to. And it's crazy you ask that question, because before I even like looked up like the top best designers in the world, and usually white people, no offense, and I didn't see no Black person. So that kind of motivated me to hopefully be that Black person that becomes really good at design. But it didn't really interfere or anything like that. I just looked at it as an opportunity for myself to be really good at something, and then make a difference, and then help out my community or help out people of color to be in those same positions that I was in, basically.
That's the last question I had. I just wanted to say, as someone who had the privilege of being your professor, how honestly proud I am of you. If that means anything, you are seriously an inspiration. And the reason I say that is because every now and then, as professors, we sit back and think, what the hell am I doing?
Yeah.
What am I doing? Have I made any impact? I hope I did some impact with you, and I want you to know that I, for example, am extremely proud of what you've accomplished, because I've been watching you even after you graduated. I watch your Instagram. I watched you on a couple other platforms, mm-hmm. and you constantly are positive. It's like that upbeat, positive tone, even when I knew some things might not have been going the way you wanted. I just wanted to say I'm very proud of you for what it's worth.
Thank you. You're one of the reasons, like, I'm kind of like in the position I have now, especially you helped me with my portfolio, taking the portfolio classes, and it's just like you were like a great, really, really great professor. So I've been super grateful, especially to meet someone like yourself and then transfer into like City College and still learn more. So I'm super grateful for it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, thanks once again for basically sitting and allowing me to share this with my other students who are coming through the pipeline. Yeah. Well, the thing is, I'm going to basically make sure that I share your portfolio and your Instagram account too, because your Instagram account is fire.
Thank you.
So thanks for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And real quick as well, to future designers, whoever's watching the video, is it's okay to experiment. It's okay to try to figure things out. That's one of the things I did. I was into acting, I was singing, I was doing poetry. And it took me a while to figure out what I really wanted. And it's okay to experiment with these things until you figure out what you really, really want. And then once you find it, chase it and try to be the best at it. And that's always the mindset.